Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with me today Dan Herscovici, who's the CEO of Plume. Dan, thank you for joining me today.
Appreciate it.
So we're talking today about contextual intelligence. It's kind of a break from always talking about artificial intelligence nonstop all year here at the top of the year. So we're going to be talking about beyond speed, how contextual intelligence is the new frontier for internet experiences. Great topic. So Dan, before we jump into that, what is Plume?
So thanks for having me, Doug, and appreciate the opportunity. Before I get into what's Plume, maybe give you a minute on me. I spent the past 20 years in mobility and in serving in one of the nation's U.S. cast. And during my tenure there, probably 10, 15 years ago, I came across Plume. We were considering them as a solution for our managed Wi-Fi in the home. And, they stood out as one of the best solutions in the space, one of the solutions in the space to manage consumer Wi-Fi at scale. Fast forward now 10 years later, I had the opportunity to rejoin, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to lead and take Plume into its next chapter. I joined in April of 2025. Since its founding, right? So Plume defined the category. We created the concept of a managed Wi-Fi solution, and led the industry and continue to lead the industry in that space. But since then, since my joining and since that time, we've expanded from just simply managing Wi-Fi on behalf of the ISP in the consumer household on the ISP's gateway to helping the ISP deliver an end-to-end subscriber experience, essentially using subscriber experience and building subscriber confidence as a way to differentiate their services. So we help deliver an amazing experience in the home for consumers, and we'll talk a lot about that. It's a lot about where contextual intelligence comes into play. But also for the ISP in the back office, we help them have visibility into troubleshooting, into what's going on in the consumer household at scale, and to help them manage their network at scale. So it gives back office solutions, business intelligence and network intelligence, and consumer-facing solutions in managed Wi-Fi and sort of great experiences in the home.
So Dan, how do you see contextual intelligence reshaping the internet landscape, particularly for ISPs looking to differentiate themselves beyond just
these are facing the most competitive environment they've had ever. Switching costs have declined, and the cost to serve has continuously gone up as consumer households have become more complicated. So the cost for an ISP to help a consumer in their everyday lives go up, and the demands from consumers continue to increase. And up until this point, most of the competition has been focused on price and speed. And our view, and I think what's pretty much becoming a market view, is that's a zero-sum game. Chasing price and speed not only doesn't really define the real consumer experience in the home, but drives the internet connection into a commodity. And so when you start to think about how do I create a great consumer experience in the home, how do I move past speed, because most ISPs are delivering far more speed technically than any consumer might need at any moment in time, delivering contextual intelligence becomes critical. It allows you to not only it allows you to understand each consumer's unique household, the construct, the interference patterns, and the usage patterns, and allows you to design the Wi-Fi or optimize the Wi-Fi connectivity to each of these devices in real time, in the context of what's going on specifically in that consumer household. So for a smart TV, you might want to prioritize bandwidth. For a Zoom experience or a video experience like we're having, you want to minimize latency and jitter. For a IoT sensor in the house, a thermostat or a light sensor, you might want to minimize energy consumption and connectivity reliability. And then there's intermittent devices. There's Ring doorbells that are dormant most of the time, but then suddenly need a video stream. And you want to have that context. You want to, in real time, adjust your network accordingly, especially when there's multiple things going on all at the same time. That context, that is contextual intelligence, taking the moment in time dynamics of a unique household and optimizing the network for what's going on in real time.
I really want to sort of latch onto this comment that you made of not seeing it just as a commodity and just speed. So let's talk a little bit about that. Can you elaborate on the role of AI in turning networks from passive to proactive?
Absolutely. So, I think what matters in this context is scale and sort of a history of data. So if we just take a step back to what Plume does, I talked a little bit about contextual intelligence. I talked a little bit about dynamically changing what's going on in a consumer household, how the connectivity is optimized or modified based on what's going on. We're able to do that because we have years of history servicing 20, 30 million households, hundreds of ISPs globally. And we use that data to power an engine that allows the network to self-heal and allows the network to proactively resolve issues. So many times anomalies occur in a network well before a consumer detects it. Latency starts or a jitter starts or performance degrades. It doesn't happen off a cliff. Many times it happens on a slow slope and it finally reaches a threshold where things stop working. As our AI engine is able to detect those trends based on historical information, based on all the data we've gathered across the globe, and then proactively take action to solve it. So it's often seen as a self-healing network, but we're observing anomalies and their trends well before they're detected by the application that's running them and doing work to solve it. For example, we might detect interference and proactively do a channel change in real time on the network. We might prioritize packets towards this video conference, for example, even though there's another device in the network requesting bandwidth. Those are all done actively, constantly in real time in order to solve problems. I would also say, and what's more important is, inevitably things go wrong. You have to optimize the network for speed, for reliability, for coverage, for security. We could talk about all those items, especially security. We should probably touch on at some point during the conversation. Well, things can go wrong. And when they go wrong and you ultimately have to call your ISP, how do you make that experience great? You use an AI engine powering troubleshooting, powering workflows, giving information to the consumer and the ISP on how to solve that problem as quickly as possible.
What about Wi-Fi 7?
The Wi-Fi 7 standard is powerful. I think that it's mostly designed to maximize moment in time speed. And I think it will provide, bandwidth hungry applications with sort of flashes of bandwidth. But the reality is it doesn't solve most practical matters in the home. Most practical matters in the home are not necessarily due to a lack of speed. They're mostly driven by other factors like interference, congestion, jitter, latency, things that are not necessarily optimized just by shoving speed through the network. I'd also say, and I have some interesting data if it's worth sharing, the homes that we service are, and I think homes for the foreseeable future will become a blend of devices that support 7, 6, 5. We're seeing, even Wi-Fi 6 devices are still doubling year over year in terms of activations on the network. Wi-Fi 5 devices are still growing 20% year over year on the network. Yes, Wi-Fi 7 activations are growing. They're growing at 5 times year over year. But that's really a outcome of the fact that Wi-Fi 7 is new and it's just growing. The reality is 2, 3, 4% of devices in consumer households are really capable of supporting Wi-Fi 7. An overwhelming majority, almost everybody, is Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5. And so you now are faced with the reality of supporting a portfolio of standards in the home on top of different applications, on top of devices that have varying needs. So it becomes quite complicated. So I think for the next few years, you'll not only have to support Wi-Fi 7, but Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5 as well.
So your message for the ISPs in 2026 is don't go commodity, don't go just price competition or even speed competition. And you're saying contextual intelligence and AI-driven customer engagement can create notable customer experiences.
Absolutely. I think and I'd go even farther. I'd say that by stitching together great customer experiences, the outcome of that is what I would call subscriber confidence. It's subscribers that are confident in the ISP that supports them, and that they know that they deliver a great experience. And when things go wrong, they can rely on them to fix them quickly in a way that they can trust. And when you have confident subscribers, they churn less, they forgive you when you stumble, and they are more loyal than the next ISP that might charge $2 less because they know they can rely on you to deliver the experience when it matters most. And so I think that is where the battle will be won. And that is where Plume is focused. We are focused on enabling, in the background, we are invisible. We put the ISP's brand first, but we want to enable them to deliver a series of great customer experiences that ultimately lead to subscriber confidence, that ultimately lead to more loyal customers willing to stay with you.
As we close up the podcast, I just need to ask this. How does a customer know I'm having a great customer experience? I know that's kind of a weird question, but it's sort of, maybe that's the commodity loop problem, right? Is I turn the lights on, I may not notice that, hey, this utility is great. Every time I flick the switch, the lights are on.
That's a very, very brilliant question, and I think it's one of the toughest to answer. But I would say there's so it starts with onboarding, right? So the first 30 or 45 days of your experience with an ISP are pivotal in shaping how you view this ISP moving forward. So I think the onboarding experience needs to be pristine, and they need to see that you are taking care of their network. So you want to get them up and running as fast as possible. So get connectivity running. And then over the next few weeks, invest time in optimizing and tweaking their network so that it is operating as best possible. That includes our AI engine that takes into account all the things going on in a home, where furniture is placed, where extenders might be placed, where how far devices are away from the connectivity. That takes time to optimize. And so the first few weeks of that experience is quite critical. Then there's kind of what happens as I'm using the solution every day. And the way the truth is, if you turn, if Wi-Fi just works, it's a little bit invisible, but there are moments of truth that occur throughout a consumer's life where the ISP becomes visible. This time of year is really interesting. I'm buying a bunch of new devices. There's a bunch of Nintendo Switches that were activated. There's a bunch of new mobile devices that were activated this holiday season. There's a new toy that's really popular. The Tony Box Audio was like the most top added toy in Christmas we saw added to our Wi-Fi networks. So those moments in time, how easy is it to get onto the network? What's the user experience for connecting the network? How do you remind me that of my, the password, SSID and password? How do you make that interface to my network as easy as possible? That moment in time is another chance for you to demonstrate, once again, a great subscriber experience, and increase subscriber confidence. Christmas time is a great time to have family over. And what's the first thing all the kids do when they show up at the home? They want to get on your Wi-Fi network to have everything working. How do I get guests onto my network in a secure way easily? That's another moment in time for a user experience that that ISPs can take advantage of. And then, look, no matter how perfect we are, no matter how much we try to create a bulletproof, always on, contextually intelligent network, things will go wrong. The network will go down. Consumers will have a question. They'll have a reason to contact you. And that's your next moment in time to really do a great job. Many times you don't even want to talk to a human. You just want to solve your problem. So does the ISP have a great self-service experience? Or maybe I'm frustrated and I want to talk to a person. What does that experience look like? Do they have context of what's in your home? Do they understand what troubleshooting you've done so far so that when they talk to you, you're not repeating steps? Plume enables that entire experience we've just talked about, from onboarding to ongoing use, troubleshooting. And that's what we're focused on. Those touch points of experience drive great subscriber confidence. And I think you stitch those together, and that is what makes consumers stay and makes consumers, advocate for you to their friends as the best ISP there is, et cetera, et cetera.
It's a very interesting thing what you said just there. We an ISP will not be remembered for the 46 or 50 Thursdays that nothing happened and everything was fine. You might be remembered for the one Thursday when the grandkids came over or the kids came over or whatever, or you did something and wanted to add a bunch of stuff and there was a kind of a fail.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, and there was kind of and then how you recover from that.
Right.
It's a well-known, there's a restaurateur that wrote a great book about hospitality. And, the moments that matter are when things go wrong and how you recover.
Yeah.
And I think, understanding how to do that in a way that is a great experience, and understanding when a consumer doesn't really want to even deal with a human, they just want it fixed. And how do you do that? How do you leverage AI and workflows and solution sets to do that? Is actually a pivotal moment in the relationship with the subscriber. And I think Plume's focus, where we're headed, is in that direction. So we want to not only create amazing experiences in the home around Wi-Fi. I mean, amazing meaning they're reliable. Coverage is everywhere you need it, whether it's in the bedroom or in the backyard. It's secure. So there's a lot of role in contextual intelligence to help secure your network. Your IoT devices and your cameras and your computers and your TVs all have different security profiles and needs. How does the ISP make the consumer confident that their network is secure and protected and they are treating these devices differently? Plume plays a huge role there. How do I add devices to the network, add people to the network? How do I control what they can do and see? Also, Plume plays a role there. And how do I solve people's problems in a way that they prefer? How do I interact with them? Do they prefer chat? Do they prefer a phone call? Do they prefer a human? How do I deliver those to the consumer in the most economical way, but with a great consumer experience? If you can do that end to end, you build great, loyal subscribers. What I say is you build subscriber confidence.
Dan, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been a very interesting conversation. There's so much more to talk about. I hope we get to have another encounter in the new year and get an update on this. But for now, where can we learn more about Plume?
Well, so, obviously there's our digital footprint on plume.com, but frankly, we'll be at CES, we'll be at Mobile World Congress. And I think, opportunities to meet us are all over the place. So we'll make sure you have that and you can share that with your audience.
Okay, Dan, looking forward to a very interesting new year. Big message, don't be a commodity. Learn more about using contextual intelligence. Dan, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.